There will never be another Michael Jackson. And I'm not easing into that. I'm not qualifying it. I'm not debating it. You understand? Michael Jackson is the greatest artist of all time. And I don't mean greatest pop star. I don't mean greatest singer. I don't mean greatest dancer. I mean artist. Because what Michael Jackson did goes beyond music. It goes beyond the charts. It goes beyond the eras. It goes beyond generations. It goes beyond race, language, borders, culture, technology, and time itself. We are in 2026, and there are Michael Jackson fans who are not alive when he was, or who haven't even been born yet. And there are kids discovering his music for the first time on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, vinyl's coming back, whatever their parents play in their car. And then there are people, like I said, who are not born during the Thriller, the Bad, the Dangerous, or Invincible albums. And yet, they know the Moonwalk. They know Billie Jean. They know Smooth Criminal. They know that Silhouette. That alone tells you something. Because history usually fades people out. It really does. Michael never faded. And that is why the Michael biop trailer, when it dropped, I just didn't watch it. I felt it. Because the moment that trailer hit, the internet stopped. It didn't trend. It stopped. People weren't debating. They weren't arguing. They weren't comparing him to anybody else. They were remembering. And that's powerful. Because in a world where attention spans are cooked, we scroll past everything, where nothing feels sacred anymore. Michael Jackson still demands focus. People sat still. People rewound the trailer. People shared it. They got emotional. I got emotional. I cannot wait for that movie to come out. It's going to be epic. Fucking epic. And that's when I realized something again that I already knew. But sometimes people might forget. I don't ever forget. Michael Jackson is not nostalgia. He's legacy. Think about it. Michael Jackson passed away June 2009. Yet he still makes more money annually than most artists who are alive today. Let that shit sink in. He still sells. He still streams. He still influences fashion. He influences music videos. He influences choreography. Hell, he's got his fucking people dressed like him and dance like him in the streets. You got the impersonators. And he still influences how artists think about albums, performances, tours, visuals, and impact. And that doesn't happen by accident. No, that happens when someone changes the blueprint. And here's the thing that people don't talk about enough. Michael did all this in a time when there was no social media. There's no internet. It was word of mouth, right? No Instagram, no TikTok, no YouTube, no viral clips, except maybe what the news showed. That was the only thing. No algorithm. He became the biggest artist on the planet when the only way to reach people was through radio, television, word of mouth, and physical presence. You had to be undeniable to be that person. And Michael was undeniable because I start hearing people throw around the GOAT way too casually now, right? Everybody's the GOAT after a hot run, after one album, after a viral moment. Michael Jackson didn't have moments, he had eras. Each album wasn't just music, it was an event. Yeah, let that shit sink in. Each video wasn't just a video, it was cinema. It was a short film. He didn't make music videos, he made short films. Each performance wasn't just a performance, it was history. It's what separates Michael from everybody else, and that is just facts. He wasn't just famous, he was mythical. People passed out at his concerts. Grown adults cried. Not just women, men. Men passed out. Men were crying. People were fainting. People lost their minds just screaming. That's not normal. No other artist does that. Period. And before anybody jumps to comparisons, let's just stop it. Listen, there are incredible artists out there. There are legends. There are icons. But nobody moved the way Michael did. Nobody. If you want to argue with yourself. And what makes it even more impressive, let me tell you, is Michael never chased the trends. The trends chased him. He set the trends. He didn't follow culture. He created culture. And that's why this buyout matters that's going to release in April. That's why the conversation matters. That's why this episode exists today. Because Michael Jackson isn't just someone who we remember. He is someone we're still learning from. And in this episode, I don't want to talk about noise. I don't want to talk about controversy. I don't want to talk about distractions. I want to talk about the work, the legacy, the art, the impact, the things that can't be erased. Because once you strip everything away, one thing becomes clear. Michael Jackson wanted to make the world a better place. And that's fact. Through music, through unity, through the message, through love. And you can hear that intention in his work. That wasn't accidental genius. That was deliberate greatness. And before we get into the albums, the performances, the videos, the moments that changed history, we have to go back. Because Michael didn't just appear as the king of pop. He was a child carrying weight most adults never experience. And that journey starts long before Thriller, Off the Wall, all the great solo albums and concerts he did. Welcome back to another edition of the Adam Kennedy Show. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button because we're about to take a ride down the Michael Jackson Express, and it's going to be the greatest ride ever. So let's fucking get into it. And if you're still here after the opening, then you already understand what kind of episode this is. Because to really understand Michael Jackson, you can't just start with Thriller or Off the Wall or the Moonwalk, the Motown 25, right? You can't start with the glove. You have to start with the kid, Michael Joseph Jackson. See, Michael Jackson didn't get the luxury of discovering himself in private, right? From the time his dad found out he could sing, he was the lead singer in the Jackson 5, right? He didn't get to grow up quietly. Nah, he didn't get to fail without an audience. No, every time he did something, people were watching, right? His childhood was the stage. And from the moment that Jackson 5 stepped into the spotlight, Michael wasn't just another kid in the group. He was the centerpiece. He was the lead, and you could see it immediately. The voice, the timing, the presence. I mean, shit, he was singing songs that grown men sing, but he had more soul. Like, you could, like, bro, you like 10 years old, and you singing this song like you experienced it. That's how great and talented that man was. As a child, he had something other people didn't, and that's a blessing and a burden. Yes, so we celebrate how talented he was at such a young age, and we should. But what we don't talk about enough is what that takes away from a person. Because while other kids were learning who they were and being a kid, he was learning how to perform. While other kids were playing, Michael was rehearsing. While other kids were being protected, Michael was providing. That kind of pressure doesn't disappear. It follows you. And by the time most artists are trying to find their sound, Michael had already been working for years, touring, recording, performing on television, carrying expectations not just for himself, but for his entire family. And that's a lot to put on a kid. And that's not just him, all the kids. It just wasn't him, it was all of them. Jermaine, Tito, Marlon, Jackie, LaToya, Janet, Randy. It was on all of them. The group, the dad wanted to push him to be something great. And he did. But there's still a lot to put on a kid as Michael. Because if Michael's not in the Jackson 5, are the Jacksons what they are? Let's say there's not Michael. Are the Jacksons what they are? No. And that's not taken away from his brothers. They're very fucking talented. All of them are. Give them all their flowers. But do we still remember the Jackson 5 if there was no Michael? That's a question you have to ask yourself, right? And like I said, that's a lot of stress to put on these kids. But, Michael handled it with grace. Most adults couldn't manage that. But here's what's important. Here's what's important. Michael didn't resent music. He didn't resent art. He loved it. He loved it. You even go back and hear Michael. He felt most comfortable on stage because that's where he grew up. He never had a chance to just be himself and find out who he is when he's not on stage, right? And what he struggled with was everything that came with it. The control, the lack of privacy, the expectations. And that's something you hear in later work if you really listen to his songs, right? When people talk about Michael as this untouchable icon, they forget he's also a human being who never got to just be regular. And like I said, that's why he said he feels most comfortable on stage, because that's all he knew. He never got to walk through life unnoticed. Imagine that. No social media area, no log off option, no disappearing. Fame followed him everywhere. And despite all that, he didn't turn bitter. He turned inward. He turned creative, right? He turned empathetic. And that's why his transition from the Jackson 5 into a solo artist wasn't just a career move. It was a search for identity. It was Michael asking the world to see him as more than just a prodigy, more than just a child star. He wanted to He wanted control over his message. He wanted control over his vision. He wanted to do things his way because he had all these ideas, and he just wanted the freedom to be able to put those ideas out there. And when he finally got that freedom, he changed the world. The world changed. It really did. But even before the explosion, you could already see something different about him. Michael wasn't chasing fame. Fame chased him. What he wanted was connection. And that's why so much of his music early on feels emotional. It feels sincere. It feels personal. Because it was. And that's something people forget. Michael Jackson never forgot where he came from. He was from the hood. Gary, Indiana is a rough, tough neighborhood. You better go ask somebody. Michael grew up rough. I think people forget that. Michael's family came from a working class roots. They were not middle. I don't even think they were middle class. They grew up rough. His family struggled. They understood. Michael understood the struggle. That's what people don't forget and people sleep on, right? And like, I'd be scrolling through social media, and there'll be sometimes people be interviewed and asked about Michael Jackson. It's like, you got a Michael Jackson story. And now all these stories are coming out all of a sudden, like in the last year or two, right? People who got to spend time with him and got to know him and work with him. And you hear all these stories about how he moved, like business-wise, like, oh, he was sharp, like how he talked, how his real voice was deeper than what was portrayed in the public. Like stories about him being more grounded, more aware, more street smart than people ever gave him credit for, because they only saw the public image. They never got to meet Michael behind the scenes and actually know this is real. Like, he wasn't naive, he was intentional. And that matters because it reframes everything, right? And when people later try to paint him as disconnected from reality, it ignored the fact that this was someone who grew up in it, someone who saw it, someone who lived it. And that upbringing shaped the artist he became, right? Because when Michael eventually found his full creative voice, he just didn't make music that sounded good. He made music that meant something. That's something you could feel. Which brings us to the moment where everything changed. The moment the world correctly realized this wasn't just a talented artist. This was something else entirely. Motown 25. Listen, there are moments in history where you can say everything before this moment mattered, but everything after it changed completely. Motown 25 was one of those moments. Listen, Motown 25, I believe, is in 85. I've just been born, depending on, I'm not exactly sure what date in that. I know it was recorded and then shown live later. I wasn't even born, but I remember watching it because my dad had it taped on VHS, and I was a Michael fan from as long as I can remember. And I remember watching that and be like, this shit is dope. Because before he got the solo, before he did his solo, Billie Jean, he performed with his brothers, right? Everybody knew the Jackson 5, but this was the first time Michael was doing something. I mean, yes, he had Off the Wall. That was his first solo album. But this song, Billie Jean, and this album, Thriller, right? He performed Billie Jean that night. And like, Michael was already famous. He was already successful. He was already respected. But that night, he became untouchable. And the crazy part of it is people forget how unexpected it was. I mean, like I said, I watched it years later when I was old enough to understand it, right? He came out on the stage, like he had the jacket on, he had the pants, he had the white socks, the glove. He brought up the hat, and then he had it like this, cocked like this. And then that Billie Jean, that track hit, and he started doing the thing, and it was just him, nobody else. No big fancy production, just a stage, a microphone, the track playing, and the crowd just watching. And that song hits, and you can feel it. Anytime you watch it back decades later, you can feel the energy that changed in the room. The crowd knew something was happening, but they didn't know what yet. And then it gets to that part, and then it happens. The fucking moonwalk. That wasn't just a dance move. That was a cultural reset, right? And before you say anything about him stealing that move from somebody else, which I've seen the move way back when. Here's the thing. Any artist always has inspiration. They get stuff from other artists and be like, I might use that, but I'm going to make it my own. And if you go back and watch who originally did the moonwalk, I forgot the person's name, but I looked it up. And it's like, oh, he did the moonwalk, but Michael does it in a different way. It's more smooth. It's more like that's cold. Because not everybody's going to know that. But Michael always went out and always appreciated other people's arts. And he talks about that in his interviews. So when you say he stole this move from somebody else, no, he's mentioned that person before. in interviews and somebody that's inspired him. He talks about different other music. Like he even talks about fucking Beethoven, like getting inspiration from that. Like he gets inspiration from other people that like, I listen to this. I get inspiration from this. I got that from that. And I'm giving that person their flowers. He's giving that person their flowers. And if you don't know, you can go search it up yourself. You're a big person, go search it up yourself, right? But the moment, so back to what we're doing, Motown 25, the moment he hit that moonwalk, people lost their fucking minds. From adults, industry veterans, artists, musicians, just the whole industry as a whole, the whole world just be like, what the fuck just happened? Because I went back and watched clips of like news media, and the next day they're talking about Michael Jackson. Did you see this moonwalk? They were processing it. He just did this move. Like, what the fuck was that? Well, he's just sliding on his 2 feet, just moving backwards. Like, it was like nobody had ever seen that before. Nothing like it. No other artist was doing that shit. That's what's crazy about it, right? It would even makes it crazier. It was just so simple. He didn't overdo it. He didn't showboat, right? He did the moonwalk. He turns and lands on his toes, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? I even like when I go back and watch that clip, that just him doing Billie Jean, that Motown 25, and then he does the moonwalk, spins and on his toes. The crowd doesn't even like, if they pan to the crowd, and some are like, oh my God, and some are just shocked, like, what the fuck did he just do? Like they couldn't even process it in that moment. Like there was some like they pan to the crowd, the camera, and there's some that like he does it and they're like, they have that look on their face like, hold on, what the fuck did he just do? Some clapping like, huh? And they're like shocked, like they're trying to still process, and they're like, the fuck did he just do? I'm telling you, right? He didn't showboat, and then he did it later towards the end. Like he starts like walking backwards, and this moonwalks as like the track comes to an end. Right? He hit it, he let it breathe, and he just kept going. That's confidence. That man is a genius, and that's why he's the greatest of all time. And I debate a wall about it. Nothing you can say. Debate a wall about it. That's all I say. Right? And after that night, the moonwalk instantly became the most iconic. Listen, I'm 40 and I still can't do the fucking moonwalk. I've looked up tutorial videos on how to do it. I'm just not. Listen, I can dance a little bit, but the way he danced, I can do a little bit. But the moonwalk, I just need to practice it more. Eventually, if I practice it, I think I could do it. But yeah, no. It's like one of those things you watch and be like, how the fuck does he make it look so fucking easy? And that's Michael in a nutshell. Yeah, he made it look effortless. So easy. Like, I'm just like, right? And then you have impersonators who do it too. They do it. Listen, all the impersonators out there, they do it well. But don't ever tell me some impersonator does it better than Michael, or some other dancer out there does the moonwalk better than Michael. Michael had his own style. He had his own uniqueness, and he made everything just look fucking easy and smooth and effortless. Right? Motown 25 wasn't just about a dance move. It was about control, precision, timing, stage presence. Michael understood something most performers never do. Silence is power. He knew when to pause. He knew when to wait. He knew when to let the crowd come to him. The performance wasn't rushed. It was deliberate. And from that moment on, the world stopped asking who is Michael Jackson and started asking, how does anyone compete with this? Nobody compares to him. That's the answer. Nobody. They couldn't. Motown 25 didn't just launch an era. It ended comparisons. Every artist that came after Michael was measured against that moment. Every performance was judged by that standard, and nobody ever reached it. I don't care what you say. And like I said, there's a lot of great artists out there, but nobody's ever Michael. Let's just be real with yourself. Be real, right? And what matters about Motown 25 is timing. It wasn't no social media. This wasn't a clip shared instantaneous or wide. This was live. It was not live television. It was taped and then shown. One chance, one take, no doors. Even though it was taped, it was one take. Michael delivered perfection under pressure. And that's not talent. That's greatness. Delivering under pressure. And from that moment on, everything changed. Music videos weren't just videos anymore. They became events. Albums weren't just collections of songs. They became experiences. Tours weren't just shows. They became spectacles. They really did. And Michael didn't follow. Industry followed Michael. And this performance lit the fuse. Because shortly after Motown 25, we get Thriller. And Thriller wasn't just an album. It was a takeover. Because after that, after Motown 25, Michael Jackson didn't capitalize on that moment. He expanded it. Because what Michael understood better than anybody else was, if the world is watching, you don't give them more of the same. No. You give them something they've never seen before. And that's where Thriller comes in. And listen, I want people to understand, really understand this. Thriller wasn't just a successful album. It wasn't just a collection of hits. It wasn't just something you listen to. Thriller was a cultural takeover. Still to this day, Thriller is the most successful album of all time. Every song was intentional. Every sound felt polished. Every track felt like it belonged exactly where it was. There was no filler, no wasted space. From Off the Wall to Thriller, shit changed. But what truly separates Thriller from everything else was the way Michael changed the way we consume music. He turned songs into stories. Before Michael, music videos were mostly promotional tools. They were. You filmed something, you played the song, and that was it. Because you had your single, you do the music video, you promote it, you play the video, and there it was. Michael said, no. I mean, you have some music videos from Off the Wall, like Don't Stop and I Want to Rock With You All Night. But when we get to, he makes this music video. It's 14 minutes long. It's not a music video. Michael was making short films, right? They had a plot. They had characters. They had emotion. They had tension. He made you sit down and watch. You couldn't wait till it came out. That first one, it comes out, Thriller drops. It just wasn't a video release. It was an event. People gathered to watch it. Families sat in living rooms. Friends crowded the televisions. That doesn't happen for a music video, except it did. Because like I said, it's 14 minutes long. Horror elements. Choreographed that people are still trying to recreate decades later. In a red jacket that instantaneously became iconic. A laugh that still gives people chills. I tell you what, it took me years to be able to watch that music video comfortably. Because I was just scared. As a kid, when trying to watch that, when they kept showing it come on, I'd be sitting there like, that shit's scary as fuck. That man is scary. That wolf in the movie they're watching within the music video and then him turning into a monster, that shit was horrifying. That's how good that shit was, right? That shit was scary. I ain't gonna lie. As a kid, Michael, like I said, Michael wasn't trying to scare people. He was pulling them in. He scared me. I had to watch it from a distance because I thought he was gonna pop out of the TV and get me. But he understood that art could live in multiple spaces at once. Music, film, dance, fashion, and emotion. And he fused them together. And then there's Billie Jean, a song that sounds smooth and confident on surface, but underneath is layered with paranoia, pressure, and accusation. And a video that matched it perfectly. The glowing sidewalks, the mystery, the isolation, Michael walking through the city as everything lights up under his feet. That wasn't accidental. Nah, that was symbolism. He's carrying the weight. Everywhere he goes, attention follows. Every step matters. And then you have Beat It, a song about unity, about violence, about choice. And what does Michael do? He brings in real gang members from different gangs onto the set. Gang members that don't get along. People who have real history. And in that moment, for that video, they stood together. And only Michael could do that. No, listen, only Michael could do that, right? That's power beyond fame. That's influence. That's respect. He didn't lecture. He didn't preach. He showed. And people listened. Listen, I'm telling you, Michael could have brought the world together and changed everything. But that's another conversation for another day. You know what I'm saying? And what gets overlooked so much is how much risk was involved. This wasn't safe. It wasn't guaranteed. Michael was spending real money. He was betting on himself, pushing boundaries in an industry that didn't always want him to push them. And yet he kept winning. He kept winning because here we are. We're still talking about him. Thriller, like I said, became the best-selling album of all time. Not because the music was good, because the experience was unforgettable. You couldn't ignore it. Michael Jackson just didn't make you hear music. He made you see it. He made you feel it. He made you live in your imagination. And once that door was open, there was no going back. Nah. Music videos had to evolve. Artists had to think bigger. Performances had to matter. Michael raised the bar so high that even now, decades later, artists are still chasing it. And then there's the part that people don't talk about enough. Michael did this while being a black artist in a space that wasn't always welcoming, in an industry that controlled visibility, in a system that decided who got played and who didn't. Which brings us to the next piece of this legacy that gets conveniently overlooked. The fight for representation, the fight for fairness, the fight that changed MTV forever. There's a part of Michael Jackson's story that gets glossed over, sometimes intentionally, sometimes because people just don't know it. Michael didn't just change music, he challenged systems. Come closer, we're going to talk about this, right? When MTV first launched, it wasn't built on black artists in mind. It wasn't built for them. It was framed as a rock network, which became a convenient excuse for excluding black music from the rotation. And that wasn't subtle. And Michael saw it, and he didn't accept it. Nah. People love to rewrite history now, but at the time, MTV was not playing black artists consistently or at all. They weren't playing them not at all. And Michael wasn't interested in being the exception while everyone else got shut out. He understood something important. If he allowed himself to be played while other artists weren't, nothing would actually change. So he used his leverage. They wanted his music video. He said, nah, if you want my video, you're going to play other black artists. Period. No compromise. No half measures. And that matters because Michael Jackson wasn't just popular, he was unstoppable. MTV needed him more than he needed them. Thriller, Big Jean, Beat It, those weren't optional. Those were cultural necessities. So MTV folded. And once the door opened, it couldn't be closed again. That decision just didn't help Michael. It changed the industry. It opened up the door for Prince, for Whitney, for other artists who came after him. That's leadership. And it completely destroys the lazy narrative that Michael was somehow disconnected from his identity or his people. The argument never holds up when you actually look at his actions. And that's what pisses me off about that. Michael was always about inclusion, always about unity, always about lifting people up without erasing where he came from. And that shows up in his work again and again. Look at his videos. Look at his collaborations. Look at the stories he chooses to tell. He didn't sanitize reality, he humanized it. And this is where it gets deeper. Michael wasn't loud about it. He didn't do press tours patting himself on the back. He didn't posture. He didn't perform activism. He moved quietly, strategically. He understood his power and he used it when it mattered. And that's why people later try to claim he was running from something or trying to be something else. It never made sense to people who paid attention because his actions said otherwise. Like, go back and look. The Victory Tour. He donated his entire fucking money off that tour to charity. He always fought for fairness. Not just for himself, but for the industry as a whole, right? Because when he bought catalogs of other artists, especially black artists, he gave those masters back to those artists so they could have control over their music, right? It's beyond music and representation. Michael believed in something even bigger. He believed in unity, not just symbolically, not just lyrically, but practically, which is why his music started to lean heavier into message, not just his hits, not just the vibes, but purpose, all that. His music, every song has a fucking message. I think it really does. And then there's songs that, by the title, you understand, those songs have a definite message in them. Man in the Mirror, Black or White, Heal the World, Earth Song, They Don't Care About Us. The list goes on forever. But those are just some prime examples. Especially They Don't Care About Us. I'll tell you right now. Go listen to the words of that song. Go listen to the lyrics of that song. And see if they don't apply in today's world. They do. Back then they did, but they do today too. Right? Michael just wasn't entertaining anymore. He was speaking. Another one. You're just another part of me. If you don't know what that song's about, you need to go back and listen to the lyrics, right? His songs were speaking. And this is where Michael Jackson separates himself from almost everyone who's ever done it. Michael didn't just make songs you dance to. He made songs that asked you to look at yourself, at society, at the world. When Michael shifted into message-driven music, it wasn't a phase. It wasn't trendy. It wasn't calculated. It was conviction. And you could hear that conviction in his voice. Man in the Mirror isn't just a song, it's a challenge. It doesn't point fingers. It doesn't blame systems first. It starts inward. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. That's accountability. That's growth. That's maturity. And like these songs that did have messages, you can still get down to them. Like you can still be dancing and be like, I don't know how I'm dancing this, but the lyrics, but the beat goes hard, the music goes hard. But if you really listen to the lyrics, there's messages in those songs. Heal the World wasn't a naive optimism. It was a plan. It was a plea. It was something he wanted to do. A reminder that empathy isn't weakness. That caring isn't corny. That wanting a better world for our children and future generations matters. Earth Song is one of some bold ass shit to ever be released by a global superstar. It's uncomfortable. It's emotional. It's angry. It asks questions nobody wanted to answer. You see the music video to it? Shit's wild. And what you hear the lyric in that, look what we've done to the world. What have we done? You're destroying the world. And Michael is trying to send that message. He sent it. Listen, he made 2 songs about the earth. Not just the people around it, but the earth itself. We only get one. Another Part of Me is about the fucking earth. And then he goes on years later, after that, makes a song, the Earth Song. Look what we've done to the world. What have we done? Nobody want to listen. Nobody want to listen. Right? And then we get to They Don't Care About Us is probably one of the, I don't know if it's misunderstood songs in his catalog, because I know he does say some stuff in it that people are like, why did he say that? Because you're not listening to the message of the song, right? In this song, he's not whispering anymore. He's shouting. He's angry. He was tired, right? The song is about being ignored, about systems that chew people up and discard them. And he didn't dress it. He said it plainly. They don't care about you. They don't care about you or me. He said it. The music video. Listen to that song. It speaks volumes today. It speaks volumes. And then you get Black or White, a song that could have easily been preachy or heavy-handed. Instead, it was infectious, catchy, joyful. And Michael understood something important. If he wanted people to listen, you don't lecture them. You invite them in. You invite the entire world in to listen, to enjoy the song, and be like, this is a dope song. But then you hear the message, but like it becomes better. It becomes better. It's like more incredible, right? And his message wasn't to divide people. It was to unite them. Come together. Take a stand. Make the world a better place, right? And there are stories from the sets of his videos, like I said, where he had rival gang members stand next to each other. And no violence ensued. No tension. Why? Because it was Michael. He understood. People respected him. Not in a celebrity way. In a human way. They didn't care that he's a celebrity. They were like, this is Michael Jackson. This is the GOAT. They knew this man. It's like, yes, sir. I'm telling you. If he could have done that, imagine if he would just... If people just understood the message, right? Then that kind of influence doesn't come from fame. It comes from trust. Michael made people feel seen. He made people feel connected. He made people feel like they belong to something bigger than themselves. That's why his concerts weren't just shows. They were emotional experiences. People cried. Grown adults crying. Men, grown adults passing out. People losing control. Not because of hysteria, because they felt something. They see him like, it's Michael. I never got to see his concerts in person. It's a damn shame. I wish I could have. That's just one thing, if I could ever have back, is to be able to see Michael perform live. But goddamn, because he's the GOAT. I've seen all of his performances on television, YouTube, right? But you can feel it though. When you watch it through the screen, you can feel it through the screen. Being there is an experience. But you watch it, you can go back and watch any of his performances. Anytime, a tour, a concert, a whole full concert, or just a performance from a concert, and you feel it. Like you feel it through the screen. What other artist does that of everything I just mentioned? And this was happening across cultures, different cultures, languages, and continents. Michael didn't just connect America. No. He connected the whole entire world. Everybody knew who fucking Michael Jackson was. Don't matter if you were the poorest person in a third world country. Everybody knew who Michael Jackson was. And that brings me to something else that Michael could do. Gather the biggest artists, celebrities, actors, actresses, music people, whatever the case may be, on the planet, putting all the egos aside and recording one of the most impactful songs in history in a single night. A single night, right? And there's a reason We Are the World still matters. They did a remake version of it with gathering artists together. And it's not just because of the song, it's because of how it happened. After an award show, late at night, when egos are high, energy is low, and everyone wants to go home, Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, and Lionel Richie. Don't forget about Lionel Richie. If you haven't seen the documentary on YouTube of We Are the World, go watch it. It's fucking great. Lionel Richie's involved in that. They pulled off something that should have not worked. They gathered the biggest, I say stars. I won't say artists, because not everybody there was an artist. There's people that acted too. The biggest stars on the planet at that time. Different genres, different personalities, different levels of fame, different egos, and they all got them in one room, in one night, with one purpose. This wasn't a branding opportunity. This wasn't a rollout. This wasn't a social media activism. There was no cameras documenting. I mean, there was cameras documenting every moment, but the shit didn't come out 2 years later, right? It didn't come out 2 years later. There was no clout chasing. This was real. This was something that mattered to Michael. Everybody checked their ego at the door because it was Michael. People listen to Michael. They respect him, not because he demanded it, not because he forced it, because he earned it. Listen, there are stories from that night about how serious the room felt, how focused everyone was, how nobody wanted to mess up, how nobody wanted to be the reason it didn't work. That's leadership. And granted, some people, there was a few people that, I think maybe 1 or 2 people left. They were like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm leaving. Whatever. Cool. And Michael didn't dominate the room. He didn't overpower it. He set the tone. He made it about the mission. And the mission was simple. Help people. Use what we have to do something bigger than ourselves. We Are the World raised millions. It fed people. It helped communities. Beyond the money, it showed what was possible when influence is used responsibly and used the right way. That moment alone puts Michael in a category very few people ever reach, because fame is common. Leadership is rare. And what makes this even more powerful is Michael didn't stop there. He didn't say, I've done enough. He kept pushing. He kept creating, kept expanding what an artist could do, which leads me to another moment that permanently changed entertainment, the Super Bowl halftime show. And here we are. Today is the Super Bowl, and I ain't talking about the Super Bowl because I really don't care about the game. My team's not in it. I mean, I'm going to watch it. I'm excited for the Bad Bunny performance. I'm excited for the commercials. I actually get to sit down and just not have to fucking be all tense while the Super Bowl's on, but Seahawks are going to win. Let's just be real. Be real with you, son. But before Michael Jackson, the Super Bowl halftime show was just there. And before we get into that, I did want to add that the year before Michael performed at the Super Bowl, In Living Color, which to me is the greatest sketch comedy show of all time, better than SNL, better than any fucking thing out there. If you don't know what In Living Color is, go look it up. They did a thing where they had something come on during halftime of the Super Bowl. Did a live event. People switched over and was watching In Living Color because that's how popular In Living Color was at the time. And everybody left at halftime to go watch this special that In Living Color had on. And then after that, the next year, the NFL's like, oh, we can't have all these people leaving during the biggest game of the year. In tune, here comes Michael Jackson. Because before Michael Jackson and white people switched over, nobody cared about the halftime. It wasn't appointment viewing. It was time to go grab food, go to the bathroom, talk about the game, talk about what your team needs to do to win the game. I mean, what was it? Just bands playing? I don't even know to be honest, I don't even know what the halftime show was before the year Michael Jackson performed in it. Right? And when Michael Jackson agreed to perform at the Super Bowl, it just wasn't another gig. It was a statement. And the NFL knew it. They needed him. Ratings had dipped. Attention had drifted, like I said. And they needed something bigger. They needed Michael. And what Michael did was simple but genius. He jumps out of the stage. He stands still for 2 fucking whole minutes. And that felt forever. The crowd is losing their mind. He's letting them react. He's letting the cameras linger. I mean, I just watched a video before I hopped on here about how the music director that day was like, Michael told him, like, do not hit the track until I reach and pull my glasses off. He jumps up. He stands there. He looking over here. I think a minute goes by. The music director screaming, but Michael can't hear him. Only like the camera crew and the producers and everybody else on the headsets can. He's like, come on, take your glasses off. He's losing his mind. Michael knows what the fuck he's doing. He turns his head this way, waits another minute, and then finally reaches for his glasses and the track hits. And the rest is history. Because all that, listen, this is the only fucking artist that was on the face of this earth, dead or alive, that could just stand for 2 minutes and the crowd loses their fucking mind. What other artist could just stand there and do nothing? No music playing. You pop up on the stage, you stand, you're like a statue, look one way. He moves his head this way, the crowd loses their fucking mind. It's fucking wild. And like that performance, what just didn't entertain. It's reset expectations. Suddenly, halftime wasn't a filler no more. It was the show. People want to know who's performing at halftime now. And after Michael, everything changed. You had Prince, you had Beyonce, Bruno Mars, Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Justin Timberlake. You had all these artists. And this year you got Bad Bunny. Because everybody wants to know when the next Super Bowl is who's performing at the halftime show. You couldn't have done that without having Michael as the first. That's why he still has probably one of the best, if not the best, halftime performances ever since the halftime show became a thing. Michael created the blueprint. Let's not forget that. And he didn't rely on gimmicks, no special effects, no distractions, no need to do too much. Just the music, the movement, the band, the backup dancers, the presence, and that's power. The Super Bowl performance cemented something important. Michael Jackson just wasn't an artist, he was an event. Whenever he showed up, history followed. And yet, even with all this innovation, there's another layer people forget. Michael wasn't just telling stories through music and performance, he was shaping visual culture through fashion, through imagery, through iconic looks that are still referenced today. Which brings me to something that might seem surface level at first, but actually it isn't at all. Michael Jackson's fashion. Yeah. Michael Jackson just didn't wear clothes, he created symbols. And that's a massive difference because fashion, when done at the highest level, isn't about trends, it's about identity. It's about silhouette. It's about something so distinct that you don't need a face to recognize it. Michael mastered that shit. The glove alone tells a story. One glove, not two, not subtle, covered in rhinestones, completely unnecessary, but completely unforgettable. Nobody questioned it, nobody mocked it, nobody dismissed it, because when Michael wore it, it made sense. That's iconic. The military style jackets, the sharp shoulders, the structured lines, the buckles, the straps. He wore that shit. He did that shit with confidence. Those weren't costumes. They were his armor. And Michael understood presentation. He understood that when you walk on a stage, you're telling the story before you even move. And his look said power, control, precision. Then there's the fedora, the loafers, the socks, the way his pants were cut just high enough to show movement, to show the socks. Every detail mattered. Nothing was accidental. And don't even forget about this part of the fashion of him taping his fingers. I never understood. I never looked into that. I just thought it was cool. I was like, he's got his fingers taped, got the fedora on. I thought that shit was cool, right? And here's what people don't talk about enough. Michael's fashion wasn't about luxury or excess. It was about function and impact. His outfits were designed to move, accentuate motion, to highlight rhythm. He dressed for performance. And that's why when someone does a moonwalk today, they still wear black pants, the white socks, the loafers, because that image is burned into culture worldwide. Michael just didn't create music, he created visual memory. And this goes deeper than stage wear. His music videos introduce characters, personas, worlds, the smooth criminal suit, the bad leather, the thriller red jacket. You see those outfits and you know exactly what era you're in. That's branding at its highest level. And remember, this is pre-social media, and I will always reiterate that. No filters, no constant exposure, no daily reminders. Michael did this through moments, through impact, through precision, which brings me to something else that proves how far he was ahead of his time. Michael wasn't just thinking about albums and videos. He was thinking about worlds, about storytelling across different mediums. Which leads us to Moonwalker. Listen, Michael Jackson wasn't just thinking about songs, albums, or even performances. He was thinking about worlds. Long before cinematic universes became a thing, long before artists talked about branding across platforms, long before multimedia storytelling was normal, Michael was already there. Moonwalker. If you've never seen the video Moonwalker, it's not just a movie. It was just a collection of videos stitched together. It was Michael experimenting with how music, film, fantasy, and identity could live in the same space. I highly recommend go watch Moonwalker. It's just it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Collection of like videos. And then at the end, it's like a short film. You can find the whole thing on YouTube. And it starts out with him singing Man in the Mirror from the Bad Tour. And it's like into a music video, and it's showing him from different performances from the Bad Tour, right? And Moonwalker, it felt so surreal, fragmented, dreamlike, sometimes strange, sometimes playful, sometimes dark, but it was always intentional. I'm telling you, I owned it on VHS back in the day. I don't know where that tape is, but I know I watched it not too long ago on YouTube. I was like, I want to go watch this again. I love that shit. Fucking what's his name's in it? Oh my God, Joe Pesci is in it as a villain. At the end, there's like a short film where Smooth Criminal is introduced as a music video. It's fucking great. Like the whole Smooth Criminal video. Like not the short down version, but the whole entire, like, go watch the movie Moonwalker. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed if you've never seen it. If you're a Michael fan, you haven't seen that, you need to go see that immediately. Right? Michael wasn't trying to make a traditional film. He was inviting you into his mind, into his imagination, how he saw the world and how the world saw him. Because it does the video for Just Leave Me Alone. That video speaks volumes about how he felt about the media and how people try to portray him. And he just threw it back in their face. And that's what I love about it. Michael did. Listen, I'm telling you, Michael was a fucking G, bro. Right? Right. And I said, like, Smooth Criminal, reimagined in that setting in, like, what, the 1930s. You had the fantasy elements, you had the transformation, you had symbolism layered everywhere. Michael turning, and then, like, throughout after the music video, he turns into a robot. He disappears, he escapes danger. And then you come at the end and he does the song that was from the Beatles catalog, Come Together, right? And these weren't just random visuals, they were metaphors. Moonwalker showed how Michael saw himself, powerful but vulnerable, idolized but haunted, loved but misunderstood. And that duality is everywhere in his work if you pay attention. And then there's two more things I want to talk about. There's the Sega video game that they had, the Moonwalker video game. If you never played it, it is great. You get to be Michael Jackson, and he is dressed in his Smooth Criminal suit outfit for that video game, right? Listen, how many other artists out there have their own video game? You get to play as Michael. You get to move like him. He's like, hee. You get to do the move. He's shooting these things. It's fucking great. I would go buy a Sega Genesis right now, because Sega Genesis was dope back in the day. It still is. Like, all the old school systems, like, I would love to have one of each. But give me a Sega and let me go play Michael Jackson Moonwalker. Let's fucking go. Who else? Name one other artist that has their own video game. Who else? Bro, I don't know. And Michael understood that early on that most artists never grasp is people don't just want to consume art. They want to enter it. And he gave them that. Music, film, games, performances, fashion. And it was all connected. And before I move on, let's not forget, he had a Disney attraction. The man had a Disney attraction. Captain EO. Look it up. We need to bring that back. I don't give a fuck. Bring that shit back. Disney, if you're listening, bring back the Michael Jackson attraction, Captain EO. Listen, I'm going to look it up right now. Captain EO, 1980. It was a Disney attraction. It was a 3D short film at several Disney theme parks from 86 until 90. Starred him as Captain EO. It was like a 3D film. Please bring that back. We could bring that back as like a ride. Not like as like a roller coaster ride, something like Guardians of the Galaxy. Bro, my God, just Disney, if you're listening to me, bring back the Michael Jackson Captain EO experience. Captain EO. If you go find it on, you don't even need to see the 3D portion of it. Just go find it on YouTube. It's fucking lit. I don't give a fuck. The film was shown for a final time at Epcot in December 6th of 2015. No, we need to bring that shit back and make a ride out of it. I'm telling Disney, don't drop the ball on this, bro. Don't drop the ball again. But I had that in my notes, and I didn't have that in my notes, and then I thought of it as I was talking. I was like, I gotta talk about this. You had a Disney attraction for more than 10 years. What'd I say? 98. 12 years. A 12-year Disney attraction. You had a video game. You had your own movie. You made short films. What are we talking about here, people? Again, I'm going to reiterate this every fucking time. No social media, no streaming, no constant digital presence, just impact, imagination, and vision. And Michael was building something bigger than himself, a legacy that can live in multiple spaces at once, and somehow it still all felt personal. You felt everything, every work he did. Which brings me to something that gets overlooked because people focus on the bigger hits. I'm talking about the later albums, the work that doesn't get the flowers when it dropped. I'm talking about Invincible. Listen, I need to slow down here because this part matters. It matters to me. I think it matters more than people realize. And I think MJ fans really understand it. Invincible didn't fail the public. No. The public was never really given a chance to fully meet it, right? When Invincible came out, the narrative around Michael Jackson had already shifted, not because the music wasn't there, not because the talent was gone, but because behind the scenes, things were fractured between Sony and Michael. He had issues with Sony. He didn't trust the people in charge. He didn't like how things were being handled. And most importantly, the album wasn't being promoted the way Michael Jackson albums should have been promoted. They weren't promoting it at all. I didn't even know about the fucking album of Invincible. I kept seeing news clips about how he was saying Sony's the devil, they're this and that. And that's another conversation for another day, which I would love to have. But I would love to have that conversation with like-minded people that understand what really happens. But that's not something I'm going to get into right now. I didn't even know that album existed. I heard Butterflies. I think I was a junior in high school when that album came out. Butterflies played on the radio. Oh my God. That shit almost made me cry. I was like, this song is so fucking amazing. And then at one point, I was watching TV one day on a weekend, and I turned it on. I think it was MTV. I'm watching the music video. I'm like, hold up. Is that Michael Jackson? Wait, that's not Michael. Because he looked different. Like, he had the outfit on. I was like, that's Michael Jackson. That's Chris Tucker. What is this video? It was Rock My World. Had no clue this album came out. Had no clue Butterflies was from Invincible or Rock My World. And then I found out. When I found out, I was like, I'm going to buy this fucking album. I'm telling you, right? And with all that bullshit going on, nobody knew that an album had come out. And that album, Invincible, paid the price. But here's the thing. If you actually listen to Invincible, I'd listen to it. I've listened to it again as I got older and understood it more. That album, I'm not going to lie and sit here and lie. That might be one of my favorite albums of his. Top 2. It's underrated. Go actually listen to it front to back. It's emotional and an honest album that he's ever made. And it's structured that way intentionally. The first half of the album is lighter, more upbeat, more polished. I mean, you got songs like Butterflies, You Rock My World, 3,000 Watts, Heaven Can Wait, To the Break of Dawn. Oh my God. Bro, there's fucking hits on that fucking album. The first half of the album is just like that. There's confidence, smoothness, control. And then the back half of the album, it shifts. It gets heavier. It gets more reflective, more painful, more vulnerable. I mean, what you have the one where he's like talking about the paparazzi. He's talking about it. Just you just feel it. You just feel sad and just that's what music's supposed to do to you. You're supposed to be able to feel it. You can feel the pain in those songs on the back half of the album of Invincible. I'm telling you, listen, Invincible's my second favorite album. I'm gonna say it right there. And at the end of this, you'll find out what album was my favorite, right? But Michael was telling stories in that album, like all his albums do. Butterflies, timeless. The falsetto, woo! You give me Butterflies. Listen, you just feel it. No gimmicks. It's just the emotion and the melody. And you hear, like I said, Rock My World, 3,000 Watts, To the Break of Dawn, Heaven Can Wait. Go in the back half. Listen, I'm telling you, when you go in the back half of that, it's going to be sad. It's going to be, you're going to cry. I'm telling you, you're going to feel sad, and you're just going to feel like, God damn, they treated this man like shit for no fucking reason. It's just sad. You feel it. It's just like, fuck. What's on the backside? You had this one song called Cry. I'm just like, cry. Privacy. The one where he's talking about he just wants his fucking privacy. Oh my God. You had Whatever Happens. Go listen to Whatever Happens. Bro, I'm telling you, the album just doesn't get the love it deserves. It gets overlooked. And if you're a true MJ fan, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't listened to Invincible, go listen to it front to back. That album moves deeper and the tone changes. You hear the hurt, you hear the exhaustion, you hear the reflection. It feels like an artist who has lived a lot and is letting you hear it. That's what Invincible is. That's why the name is great, Invincible, because he doesn't feel invincible. At times he does, but at times it's like, fuck, what the fuck y'all want from me? It's like it's a journey. This is where I'm at now. I'm not trying to be young. I'm not trying to chase radio. I'm not trying to recreate the past. He's just being honest. And that's why I feel like this album is one of his best. And if it had the proper promotion, there wasn't that fucking, if it was different label, oh my God, it would have been something magical, right? It wasn't built for a moment. It was built for time. And a lot of people don't get it then. But when you go back, it hits differently, especially when you understand where Michael was in his life, the pressure, the fight with Sony, the expectations, the misunderstanding, the weight of carrying a legacy nobody else could ever imagine. Invincible sounds like someone standing firm on who they are, even when the world around them is complicated. And that's why it's one of my favorite albums, like I said, because it feels real. It proves something important. Michael Jackson never stopped growing. He never stopped evolving. He never stopped telling stories. Even when the industry wasn't fully behind him, it makes his legacy even more undeniable. And he's even said that before. Like, he didn't want to be one of those artists to perform in old hits. He always wanted to push the boundaries, to always create new stuff. Because if you zoom out the lens and you really look at the entire body of work, you realize something. Michael just didn't dominate his era. He outgrew eras. And that's why we're still talking about him. Which brings us to the final moment of this episode. And we hear the personal reflection, the favorites, the full circle. Here we are. this is just the part I'm just gonna stop analyzing for a second and tell you like it is, and just how I feel, right? Because after everything we talked about, the performances, the albums, the impact, the industry changes, the unity, the influence, what it really comes down to is this: Michael Jackson made people feel something, and that's the highest level of art. Listen, everyone has their own Michael Jackson favorite, their own era, their song, their own moment when it clicked, right? I'm gonna here's mine. My favorite album, Bad. But Invincible's right up there. My favorite song, ooh, this is tough. It's from the Bad album, Dirty Diana. It could be Man in the Mirror too. I ain't gonna lie. My favorite video, Bad. Dope. Bro, Bad. Bad is the GOAT. Look, everything is from the Bad era. I mean, that's it. The Bad. Look at the fucking shirt I'm wearing. Fucking from the Bad era. The Bad is my favorite album. The video Bad is my favorite song. I mean, favorite video. My song, Dirty Diana. I just fucking love Bad. That's my favorite. I love the outfits he wore in that era of the Bad era. I mean, I just love everything. I fucking love the Bad. The Bad era is my favorite. There it is. That's me, right? That's my era. Everybody's got their own. But Invincible, that's the next. That's my top. It goes Bad and then Invincible for me. Everybody's different. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not here to tell you to agree with me. I'm here just to let you know this is my Bad is my favorite song, Dirty Diana. Favorite video, the Bad video, because Michael's catalog is so deep that no two people experience him the same way. One person connects with Thriller, another to Dangerous, another to Invincible, Man in the Mirror. Don't forget about History. Don't forget, I know I didn't really talk about Off the Wall. Don't forget about Off the Wall, because that is a fabulous, fantastic album. It really the fuck is. I mean, there's just so much. There's just so much. You go back to the Jackson 5. I mean, it's just, there's a lot. And that's the beauty of it. Michael didn't make one type of music for one type of person. He made music for humanity. Think about how rare that is. Michael could make you dance, could make you cry, think, reflect, feel hopeful, and feel pain. Sometimes all in the same album. And that's not common. That is generational. And here's something that I really want people to understand. Michael wasn't perfect. Nobody is. But he was intentional. He was kind. He was empathetic. He cared deeply about the world and the people in it, and you hear it in his music, you see it in his actions, and you feel it in his legacy. And people love to argue numbers, charts, comparisons. But greatness isn't just measured by sales, it's measured by impact. Global impact in music, fashion, culture, performance, and in memory. He brought people together when nothing else could. He could see, he crossed lines others couldn't. And he unified worlds without social media, without algorithms, without constant exposure. Just art, just presence, and truth. And that's why when people ask if there will ever be another Michael Jackson, the simple answer is no. Nobody else is going to hold a candle to Michael. Not because they're not talented, but because nobody lived in the moment with that voice, that vision, that heart, and that global connection. Michael was once in a forever lifetime artist. And that's why this biopic movie matters. That's coming out in April. That's why these conversations matter. That's why new generations are still discovering him. I even heard it at school. I played Michael Jackson at school. And one kid came up to me and she's like, Michael Jackson's the GOAT. Not even alive when Michael Jackson was alive. And Michael Jackson's the GOAT for all generations to come. Michael's legacy is going to live on forever. And people are going to discover him when they get old enough to understand what music is. Because legends don't fade, they echo. And if you're listening to this and you're already a fan, I hope this reminded you of why. And if you're listening to this and you're new to Michael's music, welcome. We welcome all comers, because I know Michael would have. Especially if you're a kind, good person, decent person, he'll welcome you in. And you have a lot to discover. You have until April to get it, right? Because I'm so excited for this movie. Because from the trailer, it looked fabulous. Jafar Jackson, Michael's nephew, is going to kill this fucking thing. And I'm so excited for it. I heard the runtime, 3.5 to 4 hours. Listen, don't come in this movie talking. Listen, there's going to be moments when it's time to sing and get with it. But then there's going to be moments when you have to shut the fuck up. Don't ruin the experience for people. This is going to be an experience at a movie like no other. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Listen, just don't eat. Listen, get your snacks and your drinks. Get in there early. how they're showing like commercials before they start the previews. Eat all that, drink all that before the movie starts, because I don't want to hear anybody chomping. I don't want to hear anybody talking. I might have to go to this movie at like one of those early times, so I'm the only one in there. But I want to be in there with other Michael Jackson fans. I want to be in there with other like-minded people that are just going to enjoy the fuck out of this movie. But don't come in there and ruin it for people. Please. This might be a movie I might go see 3 or 4 times in the movie theater. And I'm excited for it. But that's all I got for today. Thank you for tuning in to the Adam Kennedy Show. I really do appreciate it. Listen, enjoy the Super Bowl today. Enjoy everything. Enjoy life. Just go out and be a better person. Just go out and try to change the world in a positive way, because that's what we need to do. But the way the fucking world is going today, just go out and try to make a positive change. Make a positive difference in someone's life. Just go out there and fucking do your thing, and let's fucking go. That's all I got to say. Go Seahawks. Because I don't want the Patriots to win. I don't think they're going to win. I think the Seahawks are going to win. But until next time, I'm out. Peace. Let's get it.